Welcome back to the Sports Complex on a Tuesday afternoon. On the show today, we'll get into some more college football, more transfer news. There is another bowl game tonight. If you didn't get to watch the bowl game during the day yesterday, there was a day bowl game that went to overtime.
No way.
And the only reason I know it is because I watched Bad Beats after the Monday Night Football game. But that was enough to see all that I need to see about that game. We'll get into that. A Coach of the Year has been selected. We'll tell you who that was. Talk a little bit more about some recent commits from that Texas is getting from the transfer portal, from the recruiting world as well. We'll talk a little bit more about Texas and Washington and some of the possible X factors for that game in the Sugar Bowl. Get you Patrick's Big Fat Poll today. Talk some NBA. Ja Morant is coming back tonight. The Lakers hung a banner last night, and the dog that was there seemed enthusiastic about it.
Oh, come on. Not yet. Just give me until 4:30. Come on.
We'll get that. Talk some NBA. In the NFL, the Seahawks continue the torment for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. And we'll talk some playoff pictures, some other news in the NFL. All coming up on the show today. And, of course, your text messages. 512-447-3776. 512-447-3776 is the text line. Questions, comments, concerns. You guys drive the show. We just try to keep it on the rails. So whatever you guys want to talk about, you text that in. We'll get you the poll question. We'll get you stuff to talk about. And you join the show with us right there. And by us, I mean myself, Patrick Davis, and with me across the way there is Jacob Standard. Jacob, did you have a good night watching Monday Night Football?
I had a fantastic night. I told you when we left here, I got a feeling. I think things are lining up for Seattle, and then I didn't have the conviction to place the bet I wanted to place on them, but it's okay. I will take an Eagles loss either way.
Yeah, I needed a lot of points from Drew Lock and DK Metcalf. And
did you get him in time?
And Pete Carroll apparently said, why would we want to throw it to the guy who's catching every single pass we throw his way and is clearly the best player on the field right now? No, let's keep running the ball for 4 yards instead of throwing the ball to DK Metcalf. And then at the end of the game, when they need to win it, you know what they did?
They threw it to DK.
They threw it to DK over and over, and it kept working. And maybe if you would have done that all day, Pete Carroll, then we would have not had a problem where I lost in my playoffs in the first round.
He had him right where he wanted him. He was setting him up for the Jackson Smith and Jigba game winner.
The Jackson Smith, which I mean, they could have won this game 40-0 if they would have just thrown to DK Metcalf all game.
Yeah, but what's the drama in that?
What's
Come
the
on.
drama in that? Yeah, Pete Carroll. I think he may need a break from coaching. He had some. We'll talk about that in the 5 o'clock. But
ooh, I'm interested in that.
He was not. None of that yesterday gave me a lot of faith in Pete Carroll coaching, even though they won.
Why? You think he's not smacking the gum as hard? Is it less enthusiastic, or I mean,
there's no flavor in that gum. It's the same. It's the same piece of gum.
Stick.
It's the same stick of gum.
All right, let's move on. All right.
But yeah, it was a good night. I know. I did have a friend in a league who won his game by 1 point because of the Jackson Smith and Jigba touchdown.
No way.
Won his game and advanced in the playoffs. But he was playing. They're both Cowboys fans, so they could still hug it out at the end of it because the Eagles' loss was
that was fantastic. Yeah, it's Christmas come early.
Let's talk some college football to start off the show here in the 4 o'clock hour. And there is some interesting transfer news that came down late yesterday, that Dante Moore, the UCLA 5-star recruit that came in, played for UCLA, has decided to go to Oregon. We already know Dylan Gabriel has decided to go to Oregon.
Ooh,
and normally in that transfer portal, we don't see two quarterbacks go to the same school. You're kind of usually transferring because you want to get playing time. So this is a unique situation. Dante Moore had an okay season for UCLA.
Highly touted, though. Highly touted.
Very highly touted. Still think he's got a great future, but he's coming in as a freshman. He really did not, I don't know if he was ready to go yet. He's playing in a conference where quarterbacks can kind of do whatever they want, only through 50% completion rate. That is not a good number, what you want from your quarterback. He ends up with 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He had a 6.8 yard average in there. That's a lot of stats that tell me this guy could use a little bit of time to advance, maybe use a different quarterback coach, maybe a different system. And I think that's why he's going to Oregon, is he may be making the right decision for his career long term. To say, man, I get it, but in UCLA, they want me to go be the guy right now, and I'm not. So if I go over here, I'll get to learn behind Dylan Gabriel. I get to learn behind, learn at Oregon, who's produced, that Bo Nix was just there, and he was up for the Heisman. So maybe I can go here and kind of fix what I got going on. I don't have to play next year, so I don't have to, I'm not going to compound. I get a year to kind of learn. I don't know if Dylan Gabriel is going to be healthy the whole year. He hasn't really played a full season. He tends to get a little banged up throughout the year. So maybe I'll get to play a few snaps, maybe a couple games, for Oregon, and then I'll come out, and then in 1 year, I'll be ready to go, know the playbook, and have a year or two more of killing it at Oregon, win a Heisman, and go off to the NFL. That kind of thought process where I don't know if a lot of guys, when they think of the transfer portal, think that may be the thought. He may be thinking, I'll beat out Dillon Gabriel for the position I want the competition. I don't necessarily believe that's what's going to happen, but
Sure.
the 50% completion rate for me is the most just stunning number. You don't like to see that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I don't think of Oregon as the place where you go to develop as a QB because it seems more like a system that makes an already developed QB who's kind of okay seem better than they are because all you're going to learn how to throw is slants and bubble screens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maybe he's looking to boost the completion percentage a little bit. I don't know. I just don't see Oregon as creating great quarterbacks, more as a system that's ready for a experienced game manager.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we're talking about creating great quarterbacks. This is the same thing with Lincoln Riley, where guys want to go with Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley's made his name off of transfers.
Yes.
And I don't think they're necessarily mutually exclusive. You can, Dan Lanning and that crew up in Oregon may have a great system to get quarterbacks where they want them to be and help make Dante Moore what he needs to be. They just haven't done it yet because, if you're trying to compete at a high level, it's hard to go trust a freshman or a sophomore to go out there.
No doubt.
And so it's just an interesting piece in the world of transfers where you never know whatever's happening and, where you think one guy may go here and then, we see Kyle McCord leave Ohio State to go to Syracuse.
Awesome choice.
Which is just a weird, and the report on that was that he basically went to Ryan Day at the end and said, is it my starting job next year? Ryan Day said no.
What?
He said you have to earn it. He didn't say no, it's not. He says you have
okay.
to earn it, but he says it's not your starting job.
That's a fair
Like
answer.
we're gonna try and go get another quarterback in the transfer portal, and we're gonna go try and get someone better than you. And if I get my wish, is basically at least what Kyle McCord read between the lines, is if I get my wish, I will get a better quarterback than you, and then we can beat Michigan because it's not me, it's you.
Oof.
That's what I think he read between the lines. He understood it. He said the NIL was not what he thought it was going to be at Ohio State.
Shocker.
Which I think, again, the NIL I don't think is what anybody thinks it's going to be anywhere. The only people that are probably satisfied with their NIL are offensive linemen expecting $50,000 from the Pancake Factory because we know that's what that is.
Or that recruit that just flipped from Georgia to Nebraska. He's probably getting paid pretty handsomely over there.
He thinks he is. But again, none of these deals are signed until you are on campus. So you can promise everything in the world, and once they're there, you now you're saying, okay, well now we're results based, and now, you can make $2 million, but I also need you to make 45 appearances this year.
Man, Matt Rule must be a hell of a salesman. Then got that number one
did.
QB.
Well, and also Beck is coming back to Georgia as well. So their quarterback is coming back for another season at Georgia. So there is a possible that Carson Beck's coming back. That that he wanted to play earlier, and he thinks he has a shot to play
right away
at Nebraska. He
definitely will.
He has that shot. So Casey Thompson gets another medical redshirt year there as well. Actually, no, he transferred, didn't he? Did he transfer over with Tom Herman now?
I'll let you know.
I think he might have transferred over to Tom Herman now. But you get another year there. He gets a shot to go start right away at Nebraska, play some more games, or at least be a little bit more up in it. He may, for whatever reason, but he has decided to go over there. It's just interesting when we look at the transfer portal that Dante Moore, it's just an anomaly that a 5-star went to back up another transfer.
It is a little weird.
But man, Dan Lanning, if we talk about recruiters, Dan Lanning is killing it.
That's what happens when you play for wins instead of clicks.
And I wonder how many clicks that video got.
Oh, that's a little reverse psychology. Playing chess, not checkers.
No,
I see you, Dan.
And honestly, when you look at recruiting numbers, and you can see why he really doesn't like the fact that he got beat by Washington. So Washington, I don't believe, is in the top 25 recruiting class next year.
Right, they don't have the star-studded lineup like he's.
They don't. Oregon's got the players, and they can show it by getting two top quarterbacks. One who's always seen perform at a very high level at college, and the other is a 5-star with huge potential. But some news there. I do want to get into a couple other things, but I'm going to mention first the game because it is a Texas bowl game tonight. So there could be some people that want to watch some Texas football. This is a team that we played a year ago.
Yes, we did.
In UTSA, they are taking on Marshall. They're a 10.5-point favorite against Marshall. Cam Fancher, I believe is how he pronounced his name, for Marshall as a quarterback. He's a dual threat quarterback, has transferred. So it will be rolling over to Cole Pennington did not have a great season this year. He is the son of Chad Pennington.
Yes, he is.
If you remember old noodle arm Chad Pennington.
Hey, Marshall legend. Watch your mouth.
Old noodle arm Chad Pennington, the man who threw the ball with more air under a 20-yard pass than you've ever seen for the Jets. Cole Pennington, though, so far this season, no touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Ooh.
Not necessarily the stat you want to see the most in this. For UTSA, the big transfer out of there is Trey Moore, who Texas is looking at.
Hey.
Texas would really like to talk to Trey Moore some more.
We like his edge play.
And by the way, for people expecting Trey Moore to announce today, I could imagine he's going to wait till tomorrow, considering UTSA is playing today. He may not want to take the spotlight off of his team.
I would assume
I don't know
so.
if that's the case. He may make the decision. I have no idea, but I know his team that he's leaving is playing in a bowl game tonight. He may wait till tomorrow.
What if he sets it up like the show's going to start at 8, the announcement will be at 8:30.
He's going to do it at halftime.
At halftime.
But Trey Moore is, of course, the AAC Defensive Player of the Year, great edge rusher. Texas is looking at in the transfer portal. So, but he will not be there. So the pass rush may not be there, but you are against a freshman quarterback who is going to have a little bit of trouble. Here's a crazy stat for you though about UTSA.
Okay.
What they're looking for tonight.
All right.
They have played in 5 bowl games.
Uh-oh.
Not a win in them.
Oh.
The UTSA has not won a bowl game yet in their collegiate football career. They've not been around for that long of a program.
Time for a tendency breaker.
When I went to UTSA for a short period of time, there was no football program.
Oh.
So it is not a historic program for UTSA, but they are 0-5 in bowl games. This is Frank Harris's farewell song after 7 years at UTSA.
It was only 7?
Only 7. I mean,
I thought we were in double digits.
Well, at least, or maybe he's gaslighting us to get another. It's only been like 3, guys. No, I'm pretty sure we have numbers. Nah, that was other Frank Harris. But yeah, they're 0-5 in bowl games. So an interesting thing to look at there for if UTSA. Frank Harris can go out on top with the first bowl win in UTSA history.
Well, the other part of it is Jeff Traylor, right? Jeff Traylor,
yes.
It would make sense at the end of Frank Harris's 7-year run with him already being rumored for the A&M job and all that. It would make sense that Jeff Traylor is ready to move on to a bigger and better job.
He is, but he has not gotten it yet, which means he probably is not getting it this year because most of those coaching vacancies already been filled. Unless he wants to go not be a head coach anymore, he may have because UTSA was not at the same level. But I think a bowl wins. I mean, that's how we saw Tom Ball-Herman move up the ranks as he kept beating, teams. And you're a 10.5-point favorite. If you lose this, it's not a great look on Jeff Traylor. So it is something to look at that if he gets out there and dominates in this game when he's the only game on and people are looking at that, put that in their mind as they're looking for coaches next year and the year after and see if what he can do. But I'm not sure if he's going to go anywhere else considering the fact that we are already past the point of most of those coaches have already been hired.
Yeah. No,
there could be some of them.
It could. Just saying there's going to be a lot of emotion wrapped up in this.
There is. And the Frank Harris thing, going out. But yeah, 0-5 in bowl games for UTSA. Hopefully they get the win tonight. They're 10.5-point favorites against Marshall.
Did not know they were 0-5 in bowl games.
Yes.
Does that affect the way you're going to pick that one?
I mean, no, the fact that Cole Pennington is playing is the reason.
What you mean the legend Cole Pennington?
The legend. I mean, he's thrown 7 passes that have been
6 of them are picks.
6 of them.
You said
No,
he has 6 picks?
He has a higher percentage than that. He has 6 picks, but 0 touchdowns. Maybe he throws his first touchdown tonight.
Yeah, they'll never see it coming.
They'll never see it coming. We'll see Chad in there. Chad Pennington in the crowd.
Yeah.
Chad Pennington may be the whole crowd. We don't know. Another piece of news. Kalen DeBar, Washington Fed football coach, wins the AP Coach of the Year award. This is Washington had a great season. When you talk about recruiting classes, when you talk about people bringing in, they were not supposed to beat Oregon twice.
No, they were a 10-point dog.
They were not supposed to be undefeated. They were in the Alamo Bowl with Texas last year. Neither one of these teams was supposed to be where they're at this year. But they did it with, Texas has had a wealth of talent for a lot of years and not necessarily always use them right, not develop them, not done anything else. Kalen DeBoer has done a great job in Washington getting that program where it needs to be. He wins the AP Coach of the Year. And I know you were asking about if this, when we talk about Coach of the Year awards and why Sark may not be getting all of them.
That's because they assume he's got a more talented roster.
Which he does.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Which he does. They are assuming it because it's true. He does. And if we're saying from top to bottom, so we're not saying position by position we can sit there and say, because they have really good wide receivers. They have a really good quarterback.
They've got 2 NFL-ready wide receivers.
They got a really good O-line. Like, they have a lot of good players. But if we start going down their depth chart, there's not 4 and 5 stars and all that, which Texas has. And that's what Texas is going to be. So they're not going to get the same credit Sark will, because they expect Texas to win.
Oh, although I kind of like it. I kind of like the chips building up.
But this is it. And this is, can Texas go into the Washington game, go into the Sugar Bowl, and be able to use the moment, the trash talk where you were able to walk in against Texas Tech and have, the trash talk that Texas Tech and Lubbock has had, and the commissioner's remarks and all that, and build that up and handle business. But you're a heavy favorite. You handle business. You go against Oklahoma State, and they give the coach of the year to Gundy, and you do all that, and you use that to handle your business. But you're a big favorite. Now you're walking into a game where this is not handling your business. You're a big favorite anymore.
Right.
You're playing a team that has not lost this season.
Yeah.
You're playing a really good football team with really talented players. And believe me, Texas Tech and Oklahoma State would do backflips to get the kind of roster that Washington has this year. So is this something that Texas is going to still be able to use? Can Texas still use the mental game and in the weight room and get everybody pumped up and get them to go in there, but not overdo it to the point where now you think, okay, well, we're pumped up. We're going to go in there. We're going to go push them around. But you kind of forget the precision you need in a game like this. Whereas against Texas Tech or Oklahoma State, you can just be bull in a china shop and you're going to dominate them because you're bigger, you're stronger, you're faster. You no longer have necessarily that same edge against Washington.
I kind of wish this award came out after Christmas. I wanted it to come out a little bit after the break, because now they're gonna be mad, and then they're gonna go see their families. Right?
There's still more Coach of the Year awards.
Oh, okay, well,
there's still more, because there's still
give them all to DeBoer.
Eddie Robinson, I think, comes out maybe tomorrow.
Is that the one where they wait till after the playoffs?
No, that's another one. That's that one's they're going to name the finalist in like 2 weeks, and then. But no, there's still some more awards to come out that Kalen DeBoer and Sark are both up for. But I think it's something interesting to watch of kind of how you have to change that locker room material against a team like this. Like, it's when you played Alabama. You can walk in there and you can take all the trash talk about Alabama, saying that, and everybody saying that wasn't going to be a game and that it's not going to be close, and can Texas even hang?
Saban's assistants never win.
Yeah, and all that. And you can take that, but you have to go in there and go, we have to implement our game plan and play it perfectly. And I think you have to be more in that mindset so you can use it. And Sark's been really good at it, the staff, because Sark's not going to be the main one. Sark will be the classy one to go, oh, congrats, Kalen DeBoer. You're doing great. And then he'll get his other coaches in the weight room and everybody else to, when guys are working and practicing in their groups, to put that little bit of extra effort in to prove it.
We'll see. We'll see how classy he's going to be about it, because I remember what happened pregame for the Washington Bowl game last year. He was a little on edge.
He was. I think he's feeling a little bit better this year. Another note, Texas did get a commit today from a 4-star defensive tackle for the 2025 class. We mentioned they got Emery Winston, the 4-star tight end in the 2025 class, yesterday committed. Brandon Brown is a 4-star defensive tackle in the 2025 class. He is committed to Texas now. National Signing Day is tomorrow for the 2024 class, so we will see anyone, if there's any more flips or anybody else that came out in that one. Phil Simi is the flip you got from Florida. If you go follow guys like Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton and all those people following, they're saying it's not done yet. They're saying for Texas that there may be more news, and they're not saying whether it's transfer portal or 2025 or 2024.
Oh,
but Sark's still working. Sark is still out there working hard. Tomorrow we'll get way more news because it is National Signing Day tomorrow. So we'll know more about that tomorrow, but it's something to look out for. But I do want to get into, this is all great news, but we're all waiting, really, as much as signing day is going to be fun. Then we get into Sugar Bowl talk real heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Because then we start to get into it. Something I did want to talk about, though, today is something just kind of have been looking about, and I want to get your opinions on this as well. On the text side, about who will be the X factors in this game for Texas and for Washington, where we can say the top guys we all know and the top guys you expect to play at a top level. Like, everybody knows T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy are going to need to have big games.
Sure.
And Quinn Ewers and Xavier Worthy, and I'll even put Adonai Mitchell in that group, Jatavion Sanders, like, those guys need to have big games. But I think, and I'll even say C.J. Baxter, I don't put as an X factor. I think he needs to be good. I can't put him as an X factor because, the X factor is if he puts up 200. But I just need him to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need if he has a 98-yard game and then Jaden Blue has some, then I'm good.
Right. Give us your usual production.
But I will say there's somebody, I'm going to tell you an offensive player and a defensive player from both teams
Okay.
as some X factors. The X factor on defense, I can kind of go between two guys. They're both starters. They're both guys who should have big games. Ethan Burke, I think, needs to be big in this game to create pressure, to take some weight off of T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy. That the more he's able to get pressure and jump out on this really good Washington O-line, if he's around to get it and just, especially on third downs and things, and can get around and get a little bit more pressure on Michael Penix and make him not have the comfort and make it so when the pocket collapses, he's not also being pushed in the wrong place and making smart decisions. I think Ethan Burke is going to be a big part of this game. It could be a real X factor. If you talk about a guy that if he gets 2 sacks in this game, how good do you feel about the game? And that's not a huge number, but 2 sacks that would be a big, big game for Ethan Burke.
That'd be massive. Just got to be careful of running off the cliff on the edge.
Exactly.
Because they'll gut you.
Exactly. And then the other one I'll say on defense is Jaron Thompson. We've seen him have huge moments in big games, and we've seen him get blown up in big games. This is one of those ones. If he has a big game and he doesn't get thrown over the top of, but he's able to come in and make some big plays, maybe get a big pick, maybe pick some things off. He has a real good eye for the ball in that safety position. If we see him, he could be a big X factor in this game. And on the offensive end, it's Keelan Robinson for me. We saw what he did last year. He's going to be pissed off going into this game. He knows this is his last hurrah in college football. He had 8 carries for 27 yards last year.
Oh,
6 receptions for 40.
Oh, and that's when everyone believed Texas running game is dead.
And they said it was over. He wasn't able to do. I mean, Texas had 51 total rushing yards in that game.
Ouch.
But I think Keelan Robinson was one. Jonathan Brooks was there last year too. Jaden Blue was there, but he was kind of hurt. Jonathan Brooks was a little banged up too, didn't play much. Keelan Robinson's the guy who wasn't able to go. I think Keelan Robinson in the red zone, where they've been able to use him and just out of the red zone with the popping out of the backfield and catching passes, he's been really good at that. And the kick return game.
Oh,
they can kick it away from Xavier Worthy, but you're going to kick off. You're going to kick it to Keelan Robinson at points.
Right.
And we've seen he has the ability to get through. And if he gets through on one, I think he has 2 opportunities in this game to be a big-time game changer for Texas.
I like that.
So I'm going to put him on that side. On the other side, Jalen Polk, the wide receiver he's their number 2 wide receiver. He's a 1,000-yard receiver this year, but he is a guy from Texas. He's a guy who went to Tech originally.
He wants
transferred to Washington. He's going to want to embarrass Texas in this game. There's a little extra incentive for a guy like that. I think they're going to go to him as much as they can in this game. And then defensively, the interesting one is Zach Dunphy.
Okay.
He did not play this season.
Oh.
He was not given a waiver because he was considered a 2-time transfer.
Oh.
With the latest NCAA rulings,
he's now going to get to play.
He should be eligible for this game.
Ooh.
He is an edge rusher, 6'5", 250 edge. That could be a difference rushing the quarterback that you don't really have any game film at Washington, so we don't know how much they'd use him.
He's fresh.
But he's fresh. He's ready to go. So that's an interesting one because we don't know how much they'd use him. If they decide we're not going to play him at all, we don't know. Because Washington is not going to be in that place to tell you what they're going to be doing. But it is something that they transferred him. He's one of those guys that fell into that stupid range where they go, he's a 2-time transfer, even though he didn't really play at the first place. So a lot of these guys at the first place they went to didn't have programs for the COVID year. And so people transferred out of the program because there was going to be no football.
Right.
And then they went somewhere that had football, but they say it's a double transfer. So they don't let him play a year at Washington. But he is a big-time guy that they really wanted in that transfer portal. From everything I'm reading, it appears he will be eligible to play in the Sugar Bowl, even though he couldn't play all year because of the 2-time transfer. However, they just passed that. The judge just passed that restraining order, and the NCAA basically said we're done. Like we're not fighting the 2-time transfers anymore. So that would mean that gives him a pass to play. So and that I think is an interesting one to see that you just add on to a good team another pass rusher.
What a great find, Patrick.
That one for me is somebody to look for and keep out for. Do you have any other X factors for this game?
I do. So when I was looking at X factors, I looked at 2 things. What is his most recent weapon that he likes using, and who did he use in the game that he prepared the most for? Alabama. And there was a common factor between both games. It was JT Sanders.
Yep.
He had 8 or less receptions in both games, over 100 yards.
Yeah.
He was the leading receiver against Alabama. Against Oklahoma State, the most recent game, Adonai Mitchell had him by 4 yards, but he also had a 62-yard bomb in that game.
Yep.
So look out. He won't be front and center because, like I said, under 8 receptions. He won't be front and center all the time, but when Sark wants to go, He's gonna sneak JT Sanders in there and let him get loose on that defense. I'm going with JT Sanders as my X factor.
I like this, and what I'll tell you is we talked about this yesterday. I really want to see him healthy, and I feel like a month getting healthy after just kind of being banged up, and he rolled his ankle early, and it didn't necessarily look like he was fully healthy in a lot of those games this season.
Yeah,
and even when he seemed like he was 90%, which is pretty good for a championship game.
sure.
Get that last 10%, be 100% healthy going into the game. I think could be a big, opportunity for him to get a blast off on some of these players on the edge and get outside and just make you miss. And he's that guy. If you try and load up the safeties to play on the run game, well, he can go over the top of you.
I'm just thinking,
and if you try and push back a little bit with linebackers, he can beat a linebacker running.
I'm just thinking of JT Sanders on the seams, all 6'4", 243 of them against a safety or something on the seam. Like, give me that all day.
No, and you put it with a safety who's also watching the run.
Yep.
And he's got to tackle him from not in front. There's a lot where you could be very happy about JT Sanders. So on the text line, 512-447-3776. Let's get to Patrick's big fat poll of the day.
Patrick's big fat poll of the day on the Horn.
All right. So we just talked about who our X factors are. Who are your X factors? If you have one for Washington, if you have one for Texas, text us who you think your X factors are for this game. Who do you think your X factors, and tell us why. Tell us why you have your X factors. 512-447-3776. Who is your X factor for the Sugar Bowl? Because I gave you a few. You gave a few that I think there. Jacob gave you one too, so we got plenty for you to pick from, or it's your own. I think Anthony Hill's somebody that could be an X factor in this game.
Yeah, can I add one to my list? Yeah. Michael Taft.
I think Michael Taft is one of the leaders in interceptions on this Texas team.
I'm just saying he's an opportunist.
He is. I mean, anybody, and the same reason I take Darren Thompson is anybody who can get those interceptions. Now, I think Michael Taft may have a little less playing time in this game in the fact that I don't know if he has the speed to keep up with some of these receivers.
Sure.
So he may see he'll see playing time.
Yeah, but he's going to have to. These receivers are going to be working so hard. We're going to be rotating secondary pretty frequently.
Exactly. So, but Darren Thompson has a similar problem is he just doesn't have that over-the-top speed. But also we say if Derek Williams, I believe he's suspended next season, but he may be suspended for the game. I still have not heard definitively. I've heard both ways.
I'll look it up. I'll double check that.
But he's one that at least in the second half is going to be playing a lot because his speed. But yeah, you're going to see some of those guys. But I like it. We'll throw them in there. Who's your X factor for this game? 512-447-3776. We're going to take a break. Come back. Talk about some NBA action. Ja Morant coming back tonight. Talk about that when we come back on the Horn 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the sports complex. I had to let it get to the chorus.
I know, and I saw you
chorus.
every time I looked over at you. You were smiling wider, so
I'm
I
just
knew
looking for the chorus.
I knew something was coming. I didn't know he was gonna beg like a child at the store who didn't get his toy.
Well, he wants a mistress for Christmas.
And he wants it bad, but he can't have it. Yeah, no, I get it.
We're playing the theme of the musical theme of the week is different Christmas songs. Just fun, different Christmas songs. You know, you don't have to play you don't have to play the standards.
Yeah,
You can play some other stuff. This AC/DC Mistress for Christmas. It's a solid one.
that is a great song.
I also love that some of these are just like, these are like released back in the day. This was released in 1990, which is not really back in the day, but 1990 off the Razor's Edge. It was just in a regular album.
Oh,
It wasn't a Christmas album. They just were like, yeah, let's do a Christmas song and just put it on a regular album.
okay. All right. Well,
But yeah, that's what we're doing all week. So hopefully we'll find you some other good Christmas songs. Is that up there on your Christmas playlist now?
I like that. I like that one. That one's way up there.
It's up there. Mistress for Christmas. We'll see. We got some other good ones.
I'm excited. I like this theme. I like this theme a lot.
We're going to get to the text line in just a minute. 512-447-3776. Who is going to be the X Factor for Texas? If you got one for Washington, if you want to tell us why, put that in there on the text line. 512-447-3776 is the text line. I do want to get to a couple little NBA talk first, though. The Lakers. They lose a game to the New York Knicks last night. However, before the game, they hung the banner.
Biggest moment in Lakers history.
Biggest moment. The Lakers hang the banner for the in-season tournament.
Woo!
The players seemed as if they were slightly embarrassed.
They were a little embarrassed.
They seemed slightly embarrassed. There was a couple of claps and mostly looking around like, just play the game, man. Like, we don't want to be here. I will give the Lakers credit on one thing.
What's that?
The way the banner is, it is a, if we win this again, it's the same banner.
You think so?
Because it was 2023 is like in small print on one side. They could
Okay,
win like
good.
10 more on that banner.
Okay.
So I saw that and I went, okay, now it's a little cocky because you're like, we're clearly going to win this a bunch more times. And in like 15 years, if they don't win another, it's going to look weird.
You know-
Because it just says 2023 like up at the, like it's clearly a list started.
You know what's going to look weirder? Every other gym that doesn't have an in-season tournament banner.
No.
Yep.
No. It'll be,
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It's going to look fine. The Spurs building looks fine. It's like the, whenever I tell people who throw music festivals and they call it the first annual, I'm like, guys, don't call anything the first annual.
Yeah.
It's that much more depressing when the second one doesn't happen.
Getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of yourself.
I got in trouble one
when
time.
can you use annual?
It's second annual you can do.
You can?
You can second annual because it is now the second annual. You've done it another year. Now it's still, you could say, because otherwise you're like, you can say the second, but if you're doing it every year in the same kind of thing, you can do the second annual.
On the second one, I feel like you have to just say we're doing it again. I feel like
You can,
third
but-
one.
Third one you definitely can't, but I'm saying second I'm fine with. I know at one point I was working a show and I get there and there was nobody there.
Uh-oh.
And it was like in a bad place, and it was like by not I don't even want to say a pond. It was by something where there was the most amount of mosquitoes you could possibly ever see.
Somewhere water used to be.
Yes. And they were staged, and it was just bad. And then we were like getting fed inside, and I looked down at the laminate they had given us, and I just said, "First annual, bit optimistic, huh?"
Oh, no.
And the rest of it was like, "Shut up, they're paying us." I was like, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, just a hint for anybody who puts together events: never say first annual. It's not a good look.
Getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah, just say whatever it is, and then if there's a second and a third and a fourth, then you can put it on there. But it's first annual.
Wait till the third.
Yeah, wait
Wait
a
till
little
the
bit.
third.
You know, and then you're there, and then everybody goes, "Oh man, 3 this is our third year."
Annual event.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
Annual event.
Speaking of an annual event, Ja Morant is returning from suspension. Good segue. Good segue.
That was are we on the third? Is it the,
I don't know. It's the third or fourth. I don't know. Ja Morant, though, is coming back from his 25-game suspension for multiple offenses. He is coming back. The Grizzlies are 6-19 without him, without Dylan Brooks this season, as he went away, and they just didn't seem to reload the way they thought they would, and had other guys. Desmond Bane's been okay, but he is not a number one player. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been doing everything he can.
40 a night.
But again, you need to have that other piece in there. They're going to actually take on the Pelicans tonight. They're still underdogs with Ja Morant coming back. You assume Ja Morant has been working out and going as hard as he can. And I know the NBA, the conditioning for the NBA is a little different. I still expect him to play 25 to 30 minutes tonight at least.
I would think so.
And get back. He'll be back. And he's a young man that can kind of bounce back a lot quicker on these things. It's unfortunately for the Grizzlies, this is not the best team to come back on. because this is a team that has a ton of depth and a ton of weapons, which is not what you have. So basically, your weakness is their strength. You're also going to have John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. going up against Zion Williamson.
Maybe.
And those guys bumping around.
Maybe. Zion's game time.
And Zion's lifetime game time.
He's always game time.
Lifetime game time.
Okay.
But the Pelicans right now, if we see who's their scoring leaders, they have 3 guys that are averaging 20 points a game right now.
Ooh.
And that is, some guys are out and some guys come back, so the numbers may be a little inflated. CJ McCollum missed a lot of time with that collapsed lung, I believe is what it was.
Yeah.
That's
a scary situation.
It is. So there, the numbers may be inflated, but still to have 3 guys that can score at that level. Ingram's leading the way, then Zion, and then McCollum. It's, this Pelicans team has the depth right now. I think if they are going to try and get to that next level, they may still need to make a trade because they have too much depth right now.
What would you like them to get?
Really, you probably want to get somebody, like you need a 6-man, like a real good 6-man to come in. They have a lot of guys who are good, but when you get into the playoffs, you want the guy is good for 15 a night or 14 or 15 a night off the bench.
Right, can't play the guessing game.
And they have Herb Jones, who's a good player. They have good players, but they're kind of not as consistent, and you get like an Alvarado who you love having in there. But if you get one more guy that doesn't need to be a star, but can be a good player on that team and kind of shrink your lineup so you're not taking guys out and trying to play 10 guys in a lineup on a night. Sure. You can't really do that once you get to the playoffs. But that's a long ways off for everybody. But especially for the Grizzlies. I believe they're like 8 to 10 games out of the playoffs right now for that play-in, that 10 seed. So
8 games out of the play-in?
Yes. I mean, they're 6-19.
Yeah, I knew that, but goodness.
And the West has some good players on top right now. So that'll be an interesting thing to see if Ja Morant can kind of turn this around in time and quick enough to pull them back closer to 500. And all you have to do, look, you just need to win, 15 out of the next 20, and you're right back close to where you need to be?
Sure.
Which is a hard thing to do, but if you can pull back into that range and go, okay, we're winning, for every 5 we win, every 1 we lose, we win 5. That's what you kind of need to be kind of more in that thought process. If they go 10 out of 20 and you're a 500 team now, you're not going to be good enough to get there. I don't know what you can do to save the season at that point. So you need to start turning it on quick with Ja Morant, and we'll see when they play a Pelicans team tonight, can this team look better than they've looked and close that edge? And now the good part is, too, you get a closer. And how important closers are in the NBA.
No, big time.
When you need a guy, when it comes down
the Spurs.
As the Lakers over, they have 2 guys that can come down at the end, and LeBron and AD, that in those games when it's close and you can throw it to somebody and trust that they're going to get a bucket.
Yeah.
Just to close out games, it is huge right now. So if Ja Morant comes back, he's able to do that. You've got now Jaren Jackson Jr. as a solid number 2. His offensive game has flourished this year. It'll be fun to watch for the Grizzlies. Rockets played last night. They lost to the Cavs 130-135 in overtime. Donovan Mitchell had 37 points. The problem is this Rockets defense, for whatever reason, cannot travel.
Ooh.
I don't know why they don't play good defense from 3. They're a superb 3-point defensive team. And for whatever reason, when they go on the road, that goes down. The Cavs shot 40% from 3. We're able to handle that game. And the Cavs get the win, even beat up with Evan Mobley and Darius Garland out. Donovan Mitchell still playing there. A lot of people now with the injuries and the Cavs not being able to get there, people are saying Donovan Mitchell's not going to re-sign. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Is he going to hit the trade block for somebody that wants to get Donovan Mitchell and pay him?
Why would you do that if he's going to be a free agent?
Because you want to win a title this year and next year and the year after. Also, you can you get bird rights, so you can sign him for more. So if you're over the cap, you can still re-sign him if you trade for him. So there is multiple reasons why
there are benefits.
There are benefits to trade for him instead of just trying to, because you have to clear all the cap room to sign him in free agent.
Sure.
And very few teams have that.
Right.
So you'd have to make a sign and trade anyway on the back end and hope that they are willing to do a sign and trade. Mavs lose to the Nuggets 104-130. We told you that they were going to because they're just beat up right now. But the interesting part, Jokic, not the guy, scoring-wise at least.
Really?
Only had 8 points in the game, went 3 of 8, did not shoot a ton. The reason for this is they double-teamed him. They just kept double-teaming him, and the Nuggets shot over 50% from three-point range, basically continuing to just every time they come down and collapse in. Aaron Gordon had a big game. Jamal Murray had a big game. Reggie Jackson had a big game because they were just kind of waiting outside, and then they could cut to the basket too and get some big points. And Luka Doncic still at 38 points. He's still going to be crazy and is playing as well as he can. Tonight we'll see Spurs versus Bucks. Wembanyama out. Bucks, last I checked, 16.5-point favorites.
It is still there.
That is a big number.
ESPN gives the Spurs a 6.6% chance to win this game.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will get into some of your texts. We're asking you, the poll of the day is who will be the X factor for the Texas Longhorns or the Washington Huskies or both? Whatever you guys want to talk about, you guys. On the and
It's all
tell us
about
why.
you guys.
It's all about you guys. You guys drive the show, man. And then we will get into that. And when we get into the 5 o'clock hour, some NFL talk as well. That Monday Night Football game, crazy game happened last night. We'll get to all of that when we come back here on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex here on the Horn. Jacob, any guesses?
No, what is wrong with you?
What?
No, I don't have any guesses.
This is a great song.
I have
It's
no
Billy
idea.
Idol.
Billy Idol.
This is Billy Idol singing about a solid youth growing up.
Yeah, pretty stable.
Yelling at the Xmas tree is this
Yeah,
one.
Okay.
It's from 2005 when the album he did when him and Steve Stevens got back together. His guitar player. They did this album, and it's a decent album. Some
You think
good
he
stuff
called
on there.
him? It's like, hey man, something. I just found out something. I got a great idea for a song.
I got a great song. It's about it. I believe by the end of the song, a different Santa is in bed with his mom.
Oh,
I
wait, they're in
believe-
bed?
Yeah, I believe by the end of it.
Oh, I didn't know that's what they were getting at.
No, it's not.
Oh.
But it's his dad's an alcoholic, and they're
Yeah.
yelling. I think I can't remember. I have not listened to the song in a while, but it's a great song. I like that album when it came out. So that is one. Text line's open though. We're playing weird Christmas songs or unusual, not the standard Christmas songs. So just giving you some stuff to play at your party. See if anybody's still listening. Just
if anybody's paying attention.
if anyone's paying attention, if you want to freak out grandma, just put this playlist together for her and just play it and be like, no, this is what we listen to when the sun goes down on Christmas.
Grandma, this is what the songs have always been.
This is what this. No, this is Wham. This is Wham.
This is what we listen to every year. Every year.
No, this is how we cleanse our ears from Mariah Carey. This is what we do. By the way, I don't hate the Mariah Carey thing as much as others. Here was a problem with Mariah Carey. Apparently, I moved in with my buddy, and he was like, "Hey, there's this thing, and it happens every once in a while." Or it didn't. I don't even know if he told me, but his Alexa in the house would just start playing Christmas music.
Wait a minute.
And this is not near Christmas. Like, this wasn't around Christmas.
What could they possibly be saying in the house to trigger?
No.
Christmas
And it
music?
wasn't. And you wouldn't notice it. I'd be in my room and it would be playing in the living room. And so you kind of hear something. You're like, is someone else home? So I don't think it was home. And then you walk out and be playing Mariah Carey. It was always the same playlist. It always started with Mariah Carey.
Huh.
And so we couldn't figure it out. And then I finally found it on Reddit that apparently Alexa at one point was like, hey, would you like to hear Christmas music when the sun sets? And he said, yes. And then it never turned off.
It didn't say every day. He thought it meant just that day.
Yeah, he was like, cool, that's a thing to come home to. And then we wouldn't notice it because we wouldn't always be home at sundown. And so it took me for a while to be like, it's a sundown thing. Because I'd be like doing something in the sun. And it's like the timing of it was always there if I was home. And I worked till, I was at the office. So I missed it a lot of times. Or I'd come home and it was already playing.
You just gave me a whole new idea because I'm totally coming home every day, and as soon as I open the door, it's dun, 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 dun.
Well, that's the thing.
Can I program the lights to flicker too? So I
mean,
get
if
the
you get the
strobe?
smart lights.
Oh, in a fog machine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every day when I walk home, when I walk in the door.
You just do the wrestling theme music?
Yeah.
I did that once at my friend. I had other people I knew, and I thought I knew more people, and it was somewhat embarrassing because I didn't know everybody was in the room.
Oh no.
And but they were using my Spotify was logged into something in the house,
Okay.
so I could do it from my phone.
Yeah.
And I was like driving home, and I kept my Spotify kept changing off of what I was doing. I'm like, they're listening to this, and they don't realize that I'm also listening to it.
Yeah. Sure.
And so I just waited, and then right before I walked in, I hit a wrestling entrance music, and then just swung the door open. Like, what is happening?
Dude.
And they did not understand what I was doing. And it was like, oh, like 3 people I know here, and then a bunch of them be like, don't.
You're just waiting outside, and the stone cold glass break hits, and you just
Exactly.
swing through the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Want to get to the text line 512-447-3776. You're the glass break man. You know I'm coming. Just stone cold and beers. Oh man. Nothing like stone cold and beer.
Patrick, it's 11 a.m. Patrick,
Yeah, I know.
you just went to go get a haircut. You just
Yeah, it look good. Stone cold some beers. You don't get that much beer in your mouth when you stone cold a beer. You try and get as much as you can.
right,
But you gotta smash them and then turn both up.
and then lose down by your feet picking up the scraps.
Lou's not a drinker.
Oh,
You shouldn't be giving your dogs alcohol. It's bad for the dogs. All right, let's get to the text line. We're asking who is going to be the X factor in the game for Texas or Washington. Dew says JT will draw the defense's attention. I like that. We
I
agree. Rye Guy from New Mexico says factor in offense will be the same as my opinion yesterday. JT Sanders. My X factor of the game on defense will go to Malik Muhammad. I think he will ball out and actually have a good game against those wide receivers from Washington. I think he's going to need to. Hopefully Ryan Watts will be healthy in this game too. That'll be a big one. If Ryan Watts, because then if you can play, you can switch out Manny Muhammad and Ryan Watts and keep those guys fresh. That is two really good boundary corners that could come and make a difference in that game and kind of shut it down to where you're not letting them, even if they're switching wide receivers, you can't, they're able to stop them.
What does this actually have a good game, though, nonsense? Malik Muhammad's a good player. He's had a couple good games.
No, I know. He is. It's for people who hate the secondary in general, or not hate, but I've thought these secondaries underperformed in general.
Sure.
Which they have at points, very much so. Ron Harper was embarrassed for the Lakers.
I bet.
Look, if I didn't see the players on the court, oh boy, we are going to get so much crap for this.
Give it 5 years, it's going to be completely normal.
Yeah, well, unless they keep winning it.
Well, no, then it's going to be absolutely normal. We're going to be the most dominant in-season tournament team in history. We already are. We have the most in-season tournament wins.
100% win record.
We have never lost the in-season tournament.
You've never lost a game in the in-season tournament.
We're just the best.
Yeah, undefeated in the in-season tournament. Daydrinker77 says, I think linebackers need to be the X factor, Anthony Hill in particular. Anthony Hill, we've seen him all year that he's been that X factor of if he can make the right decisions and, know when to rush a quarterback but not get beat, know when to shadow off and get on a tight end or a running back. And when he plays and makes the right decision, then he's good. He's got a full season under his belt, which is going to help him make those decisions. We know when he comes back next year, it's going to be even better for him making those decisions. So we know what he can do athletically. It's just about knowing what the other team is going to do. You also have a month of film study on them to kind of help you go, okay, and a guy like Jalen Ford to help you understand what their tendencies are to help you make those decisions.
Anthony Hill was on 3rd and Longhorn with Nick Shuley in the game, and they were talking about how do you know when you've broken the other team, and he had a sweet line. He was like, when you see them flopping on the ground and they're laying on the ground, they roll for a little bit and they close their eyes, that's when we know we broke them. And I was like, feed me that.
Yeah, no, and by the way, never do that, Anthony Hill. It's a group of but if Washington has a chance, it's because this unit sucked. The secondary, they must handle those wide receivers like there are some JV scrubs. Look, they're like, that's just how PK plays his defense, and that's how good Washington is. They're going to move the ball down the field. They're going to be able to do that. What you want to do is not give them freebies. You want to not be able to give them 30, 40 yards on a play. You want to make them continue to earn it, continue to make Michael Penix hit these guys, continue to make them put balls in dangerous situations, and give yourself – because if they gain 60 yards and you get a pick, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and that secondary has always been based on a roster of guys that do different things. It's kind of like the running back room where they rotate them in frequently and they all have different skill sets. So it's a masterclass in confusion usually. So you're going to get beat sometimes doing that.
It does. Joe from Buddy Lane says the inaugural. He says inaugural instead of – no, I don't even like inaugural.
Don't say it.
I don't unless there's so much money behind it that it will definitely last. You have a thing that, look, there's no way this can fail. I've got the top artist. I've got all this. There's money behind it. Then you can go inaugural. But even that, when you have that one lone poster that says first annual or inaugural, and that's in your house, and you're like, I don't even like hanging out there. Yeah. What was the second one? Oh, we didn't do it because it was such a failure. It's not a good one. You don't want to have that. But I get it, Joe. You're trying to look. I know you've played some first annuals and inaugurals, Joe. I know you have.
The only first annual.
We're gonna take a quick break. Chief Engineer, I'm gonna get to your text as well. I like some stuff you got on there. I want to get to yours when we come back. We're also gonna talk some NFL, and then Tommy DeVito, man. Apparently he's big timing. He's big timing some pizza places.
Man, they are him and his agent are taking full advantage of the spotlight. Good on them.
We're gonna have to get into it. I don't. You know what? I don't like big timing people. Come on, man.
Yeah, you're for the little guy.
For the little guy. We can take a break. When we come back, we'll get into that and a whole lot more. We come back in the Sports Complex on the Horn 1019 and 1260, the Horn app and hornfm.com. Hour 2 here on the Sports Complex on a Tuesday afternoon. Gonna get into some NFL talk, maybe a little baseball. We'll definitely get into the Tommy DeVito story. It is big news. Also,
Massive groundbreaking news.
Also, another player who's been rumored in the transfer portal has entered the transfer portal. We'll talk about that. He's not a Texas player.
What
Don't
a
worry.
tease.
Well, we'll tell you about that when we come up in hour 2. Text line is open as well, 512-447-3776. 512-447-3776. Our big fat poll of the day today. We're asking you who will be the X Factor for Texas or for Washington in the Sugar Bowl. Let us know who the X Factor is going to be for you. Who do you think is going to be the one that maybe has their best game of the season or maybe comes out and is unexpected, not the game plan, but is going to come out and be huge for Texas or for Washington? Who do you think you got? Go into that. We talked about that in hour 1, so you can go back and check out the podcast when we get that posted. But let's get back to the text line real quick because I told Chief Engineer we would get to him. We do have yes, what's the holiday schedule? We're here all this week. Then I'll be back on Thursday and Friday of next week. We'll be taking off a few days there. And then the following week, we're back on Tuesday. So we'll do a pregame on Monday. We won't have the regular shows on New Year's Day, but we'll do a pregame show on Monday. I don't know the time specifically for what we'll be doing on New Year's Day, but we'll do a pregame show there. It should be myself and Aaron and Rod, and we're going to try and get everybody together and do that one. And then on Tuesday, we're deciding right now, either I will be on the morning show with them or I'll be doing my own show, but I will be on but I will be back on the air on Tuesday as well. I don't know. And if we do, and if I'm on the morning show with them, we'll probably cut some stuff up and put it into, and just put some of the clips from the morning show into the afternoon show. So I'm not up here all day hungover.
You don't want to do that?
I don't want to do that.
You're
not the day after New Year's Day when Texas is going to advance. I'm going to be celebrating.
You don't care about the people enough to do that?
No, I don't. I don't at all. No. I care about more.
Y'all hear that?
Care more about my liver and my sanity.
Oh man, y'all hear that? That's how much he cares about you.
Listen. If I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning, I care about these people.
I'm just saying, given the same circumstances, I'm not sure I would either. But I'm not the one on trial here. So,
but yeah, that's what we'll be doing during the holidays, and then we're back to regular schedule in 2024. But yeah, so basically next week will be the only days we're going to take off. Us and the morning show are going to be taking off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as far as I know, to kind of give us a little bit more time to take a little time off during the holidays, because we're not going to take basically any time off on New Year's to make sure that we're here to talk about the games, because that's what we're excited for. And I know you know us; none of us are going to want to sit still and not talk about them either.
Yeah, no, it would eat us up.
Also, we have your chief engineer is the X Factor, the offensive line. What's the over on the big boys eating way too much and being sluggish from all the holiday food? It's not the NFL. No money penalty. No money penalty for missing weigh-in. I think those guys understand the value, and look, they'll go have the holiday dinner, and believe me, those guys can eat and they'll have a good time, and then they'll come back and you have a week to get back into feeling good about it. I think they'll be doing just fine.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to be ready to go. I don't think motivation's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I think they're going to be ready to go. And good luck in the gender reveal party. Good luck on the gender reveal party.
Hope it goes your way. Hope it.
We've also got Texter says, if the run game goes well, we can't be stopped. The X Factors will be the running back if the run game goes off the evidence. I said Keelan Robinson. I think Keelan Robinson used out of that backfield because I expect C.J. Baxter. I need him to have a good game. You want Jaden Blue to be able to come in this game. But I think Keelan Robinson, knowing what the game was last year in the Alamo Bowl and how he wasn't as effective, he knows it's kind of his last hurrah, would like to make a difference in the special teams game. And then we've seen Sark has been able to use him in that red zone and just outside of it with some really good plays, getting him out in the backfield and basically misdirecting everybody and getting him wide open, and where he can go out and get, either get in the end zone or get real close to it. He's done that pretty well in the last few weeks. So he's in the running game and kind of an X factor where I expect C.J. Baxter to go out there and try and go as hard as he can.
Business. Do your
He's
thing.
going to go as
Handle
well.
your business.
And you have Jaden Blue as well trying to go on the outside. And then, we can put Savion Red. If you think Savion Red's another guy who could definitely be an X factor with another month of getting ready for this game and trying to put some packages together just to throw them off of what they're doing when you get in the red zone, that could be an option.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to see is those red zone issues come back. So
Exactly.
gotta stay creative. Gotta stay creative.
Bebo Angel says this is the Texans Longhorns' first annual college football playoff
Aw,
appearance.
boo!
Let's celebrate. I like that one.
That's hilarious, but I don't like it.
I like that. Well, this is the first annual group of 4 college football playoff because there's only this is the last time we're having 4 teams.
No, it's not the first annual. They've been doing this for
No, but for Texas.
Oh, okay.
For
Gotcha.
Texas.
Yeah. So the first annual
For
Texas
Texas.
4-team playoff.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. We're nailing that one. Will never be another one. We'll get there. We'll get back to the text line in just a minute. But I do want to talk a little NFL. We did get to see the game last night with the Eagles and the Seahawks.
Yeah, we did.
Seahawks basically run the ball. First of all, Pete Carroll does a college football move before the game saying that he's going to activate Geno Smith and then has Geno go out, but doesn't say who he's going to name as a starter, and then brings out Drew Lock. And it's a college football move because your backup's not supposed to be in college. You're like, well, is it the guy who knows how to throw or is it a true freshman?
Right.
And that's why you do that move, is because you're like, look, they're going to come pass rush heavy if we bring him in. Drew Lock was a starting quarterback in the NFL before. He's not great, but Geno Smith wasn't great before he got there.
Oh, were you paying close attention to this last night? For
I
any
was
reason?
paying close attention to this. But it was just a weird move that he did. Pete Carroll also in that game, they come down and Drew Lock gets sacked, but they don't spot it. They say he got the ball out. Then they can't get the play off and have to call a timeout, in which case the Eagles, with plenty of time, review the play and get it fixed, and now they move back, and now they still have to burn the timeouts.
Perfectly officiated.
And it was a Pete Carroll moment where he messed up. He knows he messed up.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he goes, well, do I get the timeout back? I'm like, no, Pete.
No, you don't get that timeout back.
But in spite of all that, in spite of the fact that he continued to run the ball nonstop, even though it wasn't really working, and not throwing the ball to DK Metcalf, who was dominating with no Darius Slay out there for the Eagles.
Oh, just DK?
Just DK.
Oh, okay.
Who else caught basically every pass thrown their way?
Well,
He got 2 pass interferences and caught basically everything else.
he led the team in receptions
Yes.
and targets. Oh no, Tyler Lockett had the most targets.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
the problem. That's the problem.
And he caught a third of them.
He caught a third of them. But that's what I'm saying. I just thought it was a weird game plan that you had DK. Drew Lock was your starter last week. Your starter again this week. You know that the defensive line for the Eagles was going to stop the run better. You could just throw the ball. I get you don't want to have interceptions. I just did not think the game plan was. They could have done better because you were able to throw the ball at the end of the game. They are able to get down. They get the big play to Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is a great play call. You got him in single coverage. That's why you draft a guy like that to go make that play.
And props to Drew Lock for seeing it and just letting it rip.
Yeah,
Just trusting
and he
it.
said after the game, he basically said, if you're in single coverage, you're getting the ball.
Let it rip. Yeah.
He goes, you're going, I'm throwing it to you. If you're in single coverage, so when he looked over and saw him, it's like, cool, it's you.
Dude, so many QBs would benefit from that lesson, like Justin Fields. When you get to the league
Yeah.
and it's one-on-one, your guy can win that. Just throw it to him.
That's why he's in the league. And now, not every guy, but they have 3 that are at least 2 that can win it all the time. And Tyler Lockett's a good receiver, but DK Metcalf's going to go up and get it. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is a really good wide receiver. He's going to go
Phenomenal.
up and get it.
He's a rookie.
Yeah, exactly. But so you get that, you get the big play. The Eagles then come back. They still have enough time. They're able to get the ball out, get a quick play up the middle with Jalen Hurts running. They need 13 to 14 yards to get in field goal range to tie the game. And
12
Jalen
seconds
Hurts
left.
takes a shot that takes up most of the time and throws an interception.
By the way, the footwork on that interception.
Oh, what was funny?
He gets deflected back inbounds.
He gets deflected back in. Yeah, that is the football god saying you shouldn't have thrown that past Jalen Hurts. It was just it was a mind-boggling decision to try and go for it there because you're still kicking a field goal from there.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's 4 seconds left. So even if that pass is completed, it's still a field goal.
Yeah.
So why would you not throw an out way shorter than that?
And you have Jake Elliott.
And then you could even take a shot downfield if you got that next pass. You get that pass in 3 seconds, 4 seconds. You maybe still be able to take a shot, or you get a field goal from a guy who's hit 7 to 8 from over 50 yards.
Oh yeah, Jake Elliott's been a monster.
So it just did not. Both guys messed up in that game. Just going down the stretch, Jalen Hurts is having that year. He came out afterwards, and he seems like he is somewhat dejected. As someone who was a winner at Alabama and a winner at Oklahoma and a winner in Philadelphia, and now they're 4-5 in their last few games, or 5-4 in their last 5 games.
That's not the only thing. There's some pictures starting to hit the internet where Jalen Hurts might have an upset tummy during some of these football games when they wear white pants.
Well, I mean, this one, This one was he was sick.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't this game. I'm just saying, all of
No.
a sudden, these pictures are starting to hit timelines. Things are not looking great for Jalen Hurts.
No,
right now.
and
People are using the word Jalen squirts. I don't know.
I know. Come
Yeah,
on now.
It's,
But he came out afterwards and he said that people were not committed enough. And then when they asked him what he meant by that, he says, "I don't have a dictionary on me."
oh, no.
And you could see as soon as he said it, he must have saw everybody's face in the room and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then kind of went on. It's like it's not his character to do that, but he just seemed so dejected after that game that he knew he should have won it.
Yeah.
That, Seattle did not outplay them in that game. They just weren't able to get anything done and continue to not make good plays. And it's an interesting part for the Eagles now because the Eagles, as dominant as they looked, there was this stretch where the Cowboys have had a stretch where they didn't look as good. The 49ers had the stretch where they didn't look as good, and they've kept bouncing back. Now, the Cowboys are in that position again right now, but they can bounce back this week against the Dolphins. The Eagles are now on a real skid. This is a real problem because you should have been able to go beat Seattle. You should have been able to run the ball. You should have been able to do a lot of things. And even if not, you should be able to get, enough. Jalen Hurts ran the ball more than he probably should have. I mean, he needed to, but at the same part, you kind of would prefer your offense not just devolve into that.
Well, that's what I was like. It seems like the Seahawks knew whenever they were doing running plays to the running back because they were all over it every time. It's almost like they knew when those were coming. So Jalen running was almost a necessity just to change it up. Who's carrying the ball?
Yeah. It's also a wet game and wet and cold game. So you're going to run the ball a bunch. And they kind of focused on that for an extent as well. But yeah, Hurts ends up with 143 yards and 2 turnovers.
It was a great game. Great game for Jalen Hurts. It's fantastic. About par for the course, actually.
Not a great game for the Eagles. They're going down. When we start to look at that playoff picture now, though, we can talk about the AFC at a different time, but let's go back in the NFC. And
because things got a lot more interesting yesterday.
Because they got more interesting because it now opens the door for the Cowboys. The 49ers are still atop at 11-3, but that first seed is still available at 11-3 and 10-4. They have to lose a game. They have to win 2 games, but it's still possible.
Okay.
There's still hope. There's still a chance. That 6.6% chance you were talking about earlier, remember?
No, I think it's less than that.
It's less than that. Dallas is 10-4. Right now, they do have the tiebreaker on Philadelphia because of division. However, they have one more division game. The Philadelphia Eagles have 2.
Yes.
If they were to win both of those, they would tie on division record, and it would go back to the 5th tiebreaker.
So it goes through a series of tiebreaker scenarios after that conference record and all that. And it gets all the way down to the 5th tiebreaker, which is strength of schedule, basically.
Yes.
They have fancy wording for it, but it's strength of schedule. And as of right now, the Eagles are deemed to have had the stronger schedule.
Now, this is all being said with the Cowboys playing a Dolphins team that could very well upset them next week. And Philadelphia, as bad as they're playing right now, could easily lose a couple more games.
They have to play the Giants twice, and the Giants have 12 turnovers in the last 4 games.
They do, and they're playing the Cardinals as well. So they're not playing great teams.
Yeah.
If you want to get right schedule, this is the best end of schedule for the Eagles they could hope for.
But you would think the Seahawks would be part of that.
Get
right.
But no, because the Seahawks are at least around a playoff team.
Because their backup quarterback.
I get it, but they're at least around a playoff team.
Okay. So are the Giants, technically, in the NFC.
I know, but they're not.
Wait.
They're a 5-9 team.
Yes.
Seattle's 7-7 right now.
Yeah, but Seattle only had 6 wins going into last night.
I get it, but that's just saying. I don't. If you look at those 2 teams, I think they're worlds apart.
Well, okay. I know what you're saying. The Eagles are terrible, and I agree.
But we look at that one. Detroit also in that playoff picture with 10 wins, 10-4 there as well. And then we drop off just considerably all to the 500 teams.
Yeah.
But it is big because this means that Dallas would have to go on the road. If they do not get that 2 seed, it becomes a more viable option for the Cowboys now. The Eagles do drop one of those last games. You have to play the Giants twice in 2 weeks. You hope that your boy Tommy DeVito comes out and lines it up.
I just need that defense to show up one time.
And hopefully you get some more turnovers from Jalen Hurts, and maybe that turns into something. But there's hope now for the Dallas Cowboys that
it was
they
next
could
to
have
impossible before last night.
Yes, because you were going to need them to lose 2
twice.
to the Giants or the Cardinals.
Right.
Which we don't see happening. And look, the Cardinals, remember, this is a former Eagles coach going against the Cardinals.
Ooh, hadn't thought about that.
Remember that. This is their defensive coordinator from last year, and I'm guessing he's better than Matt Patricia.
Maybe.
The Eagles who made the change. Sirianni said after the game he doesn't expect any more changes. He doesn't think they're going to do any more. But that was...
Why not? It worked out so well. They had such a great defensive game plan. Drew Lock is just obviously...
He's elite.
He's elite, right?
No, he didn't write back.
Oh, no, that's Gino's thing. Don't do that. Hey, props to Gino, by the way. Drew talked about Geno in his ear all night, helping him along.
Yeah.
He even did all of Drew's celebrations with him whenever
Oh
he was
no,
scoring.
no, I
touch-
get it.
like,
Hey, look, they know, and Geno Smith understands he's the one, and I'm sure we'll. But yeah, Drew Lock was just happy because he's like, man, I just need to show people that I'm not like I shouldn't be busted out of the league.
And Drew can be a volatile personality, right? So something like that on the sidelines, knowing that you've got his blessing, basically,
Yeah.
that had to be that was
No, it
really
was good.
cool. Yeah.
Looking over at the AFC playoff picture, Baltimore looks like they are going to be doing just fine getting out of this the rest of this season. They have the 49ers, though, the Dolphins, and the Steelers, so they could hit some road down the stretch. Miami going to play the Cowboys
Yes, they are.
at the end of theirs, and they will finish up with the Ravens and the Bills also on there, so they have some difficult games. They could come up and get that top seed, or they could drop back down. Kansas City, we know, has all their issues. They're still at 9-5. Jacksonville has a lot of issues. Trevor Lawrence in concussion protocol. They're at 8-6, tied with Indy and Houston right now. That AFC South picture is going to be interesting in the next few weeks. The Colts and Texans play again. They play the Texans play the Titans again, and hopefully they'll be smart enough to not to wear those jerseys again.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going into Houston with that.
No, I don't think they're going to do that one. They might actually. I don't know.
I feel like you might get booed a bit.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
But so do still some time for the Texans to get into this playoff picture. Depends though on C.J. Stroud's health, Will Anderson's health. A lot of guys, Nico Collins.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. If you get healthy, you have a chance to make the playoffs, which would be a huge turnaround from what your last few seasons are. You don't expect much to happen in the playoffs, but making the playoffs is a huge turnaround. And for a team that has some cap space going into the offseason, and you haven't really gone after free agents in a while, to say, well, the culture has completely changed. We now have a future star quarterback. We are in a playoff hunt now.
Yeah.
Where, D'Amico Ryans is the dude. Everybody loves him. Maybe you want to come here, and maybe they can bulk this team up in the offseason a little bit more in free agency.
It's definitely more enticing than it used to be. I will bring the party down just a notch. Latest report was C.J. Stroud still sensitive to light at this point in the recovery process. That's a little concerning.
It is. I mean, and look, you have Case Keenum playing as well, and another week of him. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, you expect C.J. Stroud. You're just hoping to keep staying in this fight for the playoffs because, again, I say it's you're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year. I mean, you're trying to, but you're not expecting to win a Super Bowl this year.
No, you make the playoffs. That was overachieving.
And you're looking this offseason as a whole different beast now.
Yeah.
You also have a game against the Browns, who are 9-5, and you have their draft pick, so you'd like to win that game as well. But that Browns defense is going to be coming after you, whoever the quarterback is.
Number one defense all year for a reason.
So they're carrying it without Deshaun Watson.
I know it.
Which, boy, do you think they're going, man, what we could do with that guaranteed money we gave up for
Too
Deshaun
bad.
Watson?
Too bad you guaranteed it.
Whew. You finally get a quarterback, and he's not playing.
I bet Deshaun never plays again.
I bet he does. We'll get to that. The Bengals also in that playoff picture right now as well.
The legend of Jake Browning grows stronger.
Ohio football coming through.
Man.
If Ryan Day learned how to win a big game. Take a shot.
I knew you were going back to it. I knew there was a reason you brought up the word Ohio.
Just got to take a shot.
Anything to do it. Yeah.
We also did mention we didn't let me pull this back up. If we didn't mention, we said that there is another transfer. Evan Stewart, the wide receiver out of A&M, has hit the transfer portal officially. So another player leaving A&M, another top wide receiver that is available. I don't know if Texas is interested. I don't know if Texas is going to look at him, but another name for Texas A&M, a team that we're playing next year.
Darn. Dang it.
Just putting that out there.
I hate that they're leaving that place over there.
Hate it. Let's do a couple other pieces. We'll clean up here on the NFL before we get back to the text line and take a quick break. The Panthers have released Justin Houston. He is at the tail end of his career at this point. He was on a losing team. I think they're giving him he'd be willing to play somewhere if he had a shot to win.
Yep.
But he is, he's not the player he used to be, but could be used in spurts. So if you have a roster spot opening and you say we can bring somebody in and we may need a linebacker and he can still rush the quarterback at points and we can put him in the right packages, then you could have him. I know the Cowboys
could really use
linebackers. I don't know if he's going to be the guy you need though, because you'd really like to have linebackers that are going to help out in the run.
Sort of. He's good playoff depth. He's
he
not
is
going
good
to cost
playoff depth.
much. He's not going to cost much.
He is good playoff depth, but I don't know if you're going to be able to use him the same way. You have DeMarcus Lawrence. You have Micah Parsons. You do have some rushers. You'd like to get someone who can guard the run a little bit better. And just, he's probably smart enough to do it and know everything else, but I don't know if that's what he's going to sign up to do. But it's an interesting piece. The Cowboys, I'm sure, will be calling. and just judging insane.
I would hope so. At least get a number.
At least, and just see interest, judge interest, because
Right.
otherwise he's going to end up on the Eagles like everybody else does.
Don't do that.
He
Don't do
doesn't.
that.
Doesn't everybody end up there?
Well, it's because the Eagles actually they do the smart thing where they see, okay, we're good, but we can still get better.
Yeah.
We can still
And
get
we'll
better.
find the money. We'll find it
Right.
work. We make the salary cap work.
Avoidable
Aaron
years
Rodgers-
on contracts.
Aaron Rodgers also came back today on Pat McAfee's show and started to hint that he is not going to come back this season, as he said
That one hurt.
that he was hinting more and more that he could possibly come back, and the window was open, and it needs to be now. And then he said, well, I'm not 100%. I'm not coming back unless I'm 100%. You can't be 100% 14 weeks after Achilles. We all said, we know, Aaron.
I know. That one hurt to see him double back because I was pushing for him. I wanted him to do it. And I hate Aaron Rodgers. Can't stand him as a Cowboys fan, but I wanted him to do it.
I didn't want him to do it because I've watched that Jets offensive line, and they are garbage. And I wouldn't. You don't want to. It could end his career.
Yeah, but there'd be some sweet sound bites after those games.
He play another 5 snaps and then be back out on the field. So he does not appear that he's coming back. The Jets are all basically eliminated too. They're not going to be playing. They're not eliminated, but they're not.
They said he was playing scout team linebacker at practice.
Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers was.
He said he was playing defensive tackle.
Scout team linebacker.
Scout team linebacker.
Yeah.
And then the last story we want to get to, we'll take a quick break, get to the text line. Text line's open, 512-447-3776. Big fat poll of the day. Who's going to be the X factor in the Sugar Bowl? Texas, Washington. Why? Tell us on the text line. But I also want to bring this up. Tommy DeVito, if you know, is gaining fame in
Who's that?
the quarterback for the New York Giants, has come in, has done well enough for them that he is starting to gain fame. He is also gaining fame because of his name, because he is very Italian with his Sean Stellato, Irish American Hall of Famer,
Italian American.
Irish Italian,
Yeah, watch
American Italian. Sorry,
watch the way you speak. That's royalty.
Italian American
Yeah.
Hall of Famer agent now for Tommy DeVito. He apparently, though, they had a deal with the pizzeria where they were going to do an appearance, and sometimes these places will, you get an appearance. It's like we'll see Longhorns go do them.
Quinn did one here in Austin.
Yeah,
before the season.
there's one. There's a new Dave & Buster's opening, and I saw that they had a bunch of Longhorns that are going to be at their opening.
Oh, did they?
So there'll be but they, you pay them a few dollars, and they come out, and then you get a bunch of people to come out to see them and get their autograph.
Sure.
And so this pizzeria was like, perfect. We're in Jersey.
We're Italian.
We're Italian. We're going to get Tommy DeVito. We're going to have a good old time.
Bring your agent. It'll
Yeah,
be a great
and so
time.
apparently the deal was for $10,000.
Yep.
It's not bad to go sit at a pizzeria and sign some
For a
autographs
couple hours.
when you are not going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL probably ever.
Yeah,
And now you're
capitalize.
starting for the Giants. So you go take it and you be with your people, get your name and get the legend of Tommy DeVito to build. But apparently
What
there's been some heavy negotiating.
Uh-oh.
And they got a phone call from the Hall of Fame agent now.
Oh, doing his job. Doing
He
his
has
job.
said, that was the old rate. There's a new rate.
Oh, no.
There's a new rate, and if you want it, you gotta pay the new rate. $20,000. They have doubled the price
Come
for
on.
Tommy DeVito for a team that is still not going to make the playoffs.
Oh.
He's not Kurt Warner coming in. He's not Tom Brady coming in.
Well, and they do these kind of appearances for public perception, right? So it's not like they were planning on making $10,000 at that event or whatever. So doubling the price on them, come on.
This seems like a type of thing where the only reason I can say this seems like a type of thing where he was like, dude, I don't want to go to a pizzeria. And he's like, we'll charge them so much they'll never take it. And then they're like, yeah, $10,000. He's like, okay. He's like, crap. Okay, we don't want to do it though, right? Oh crap. Okay.
I don't think DeVito was consulted on this. I think Sean Stellato got ahead of himself and went, you know what? 20,000.
20,000. I need my cut.
I need my cut.
So Tommy DeVito, the legend now, is turning negative. Tommy DeVito's getting the ego.
No, his agents, he's got a master class. He's going to find a way to make that city hate that pizzeria for not paying the fee.
I don't think so. I think people are going to be against it. We could have seen, unless he's going to show up on Jimmy John commercials with Danny DeVito.
They can't. No way.
They can't afford him?
Well-
They can afford Danny, not Tommy?
Yeah, Danny DeVito costs less than Tommy.
Terrible. Come on, Tommy. Just show up at the pizzeria.
It's a pizzeria.
But it's such, like your story, the ESPN 30 for 30 about Tommy DeVito. You don't want to see the part where he's not at the pizzeria because it costs too much.
And that's going to be the final chapter. It's like, that's where it turned. It's like,
No, the final chapter is when Micah Parsons decapitates him.
Well, they don't play again this year.
Oh, they don't play again.
Yeah.
No, so we'll see if someone on the Eagles can decapitate him.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, Daniel Jones got to feel all of that.
That's
early
true.
this
That is
season.
true. They
Yeah.
got to see him. Well, no, maybe he'll play next year.
Tommy DeVito?
He could be playing next year.
Oh,
I mean, we see his star rising.
not after they sunk $84 million in Danny Dimes.
Well, I mean, he's still gonna be a backup, but just Daniel Jones is gonna keep getting hurt.
I don't think so. I don't think they want a celebrity backup QB, and he's turning into one of those.
He's turning into. I mean, again, celebrity at $20,000, also not exactly the same thing.
No, but he's getting way more press than any other backup QB typically does.
He does. He is. All right. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna raise our rates
Before in the break.
in the break.
Okay, so if they don't come up to it, we may not be back.
We're gonna come back, get some more of your answers on the text line for the Big Fat Poll. Anything else you want to talk about? You guys drive the show. We just try to keep it on the rails here. Get into whatever else we're gonna get into here in the last one of the last segments here in the 5 o'clock hour here on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019 and 1260, the Horn app and hornfm.com. Back at the sports complex here on the Horn, playing some not standard Christmas songs. This is Snoop Dogg and his friends doing Funky Christmas. Doing some Funky Christmas.
Man. Oh, yeah, my mic's on. All right,
You're
cool.
on, you're good.
Yeah, I had to double check. No, yeah, I thought I recognized Snoop's voice. I like this. I like
Yeah.
Funky Christmas.
A little Funky Christmas for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the N is crossed out on the album cover though, so maybe it means something else. I don't know, but I believe the N is crossed out.
Do what?
The N is crossed out on the album cover.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna dive into that.
I'm not gonna dive
I'm not
into
gonna
that.
pretend to know.
No, I'm not going to dive into the N and Funky. If you took that out, I don't know.
What is that? Hang on. Can you spell it out for me? That way I get a better picture.
No, I can't.
Okay. Well, I just need to know what that word looks like without the N.
I don't either. I don't either.
Okay, we can move on. I'm not going to get you. Yeah.
Text lines open 512-447-3776. Asking who the X Factor is going to be for Texas. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Average Joe also says, I think Mitchell will have 2 TDs because Worthy is double teamed. I think Mitchell could have a big game in this for sure.
I will say, those games I looked up, the Alabama game and the Oklahoma State game, AD was right behind JT. So he likes featuring both of them when he has time to prepare.
Oh, he does. He
Yeah.
likes, and Mitchell's the one. If you're going to try and double team on one side of the field, we're going to throw it to the other side of the field as much as we can
Oh, yeah.
to make you get off, and then we'll throw it back to Xavier Worthy.
We'll train your eyes to look the other way. Exactly.
Exactly. And we get it. We haven't, it's that thing when we talked about when Texas was getting Isaiah Neyor last year, and what was going to be so good was, you can't only have one real deep threat target and one guy that everybody's going to keep looking at. They this year have Adonai Mitchell, and they've been able to use him as much as they can.
Oh, yeah.
That big difference. Shout out to my man Chan, seeing that Jacob's trying to put me on the spot.
I am. I'm always trying to put Patrick on the spot. Y'all should be used to it.
This texture says Jalen Ford pick 6. I like that one. Mike in Omaha says Anthony Hill and the Texas running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. I like that one too. That's a good one.
Anthony Hill out of the backfield?
No, Anthony Hill
That'll be
and
new.
the running backs catching the ball
I'm
out of the
excited
backfield.
to see that.
Anthony Hill's going to be stopping the other team
I
from
didn't know
catching
that
the
guy
ball out
had
of the
some
backfield.
wheels.
I'm sure he does.
I'm
I'm sure Anthony Hill could carry the ball just fine. I don't know if he protects it enough. I don't know if he protects it
yeah,
enough.
fair.
Texter says that play where he had to spend the timeout may have actually won him the game. They ended up kicking a field goal instead of going for it on 4th, and they won by 3. I believe this is talking the end where they were going to go for it on 4th down, and then they didn't. I don't think they were ever really going to go for it. I think
No.
they were doing the same thing they did before, which they were trying to get the false start.
Which they got it. They got it. They had a man jump across. They just
did.
didn't snap
They
the
didn't
ball.
snap it.
And
And
I don't
I
understand in that
I don't
situation.
know, but I also don't know if he did jump. I think that was a risky call because I don't know if he actually got across the line. He jumped, but he didn't get across.
Oh, his hands came across. I'm talking about. There might be a different play than his hands.
I know which one.
definitely
I know that
crossed.
the guy went, but it was close.
I just don't understand how you send your center out there with any other mindset besides ignore Drew Lock, ignore the
just snap it,
quarterback,
yeah.
and just watch for movement. If someone goes, snap the ball.
Texter says, "Cry Eagles cry."
I love that.
That's a win for Jacob there.
That is wonderful. Thank you. Favorite texter. How do I?
What about this one? No one wants to push Jalen's tush.
No, they don't. No, Jalen Squirts is having a tough time recently controlling his belly aches. I don't know.
You know what?
Oh, you know what? Maybe it's the push. Maybe
It's
the
a push?
push is forcing the issue.
I think it's just that he's running the ball so effectively that he gets knocked down, and then the field is dirty.
Oh, you think it's the field?
I think his field's just dirty.
I don't. I think he has poopy pants.
I don't know. I don't know if he's a Paul Pierce or a DK Metcalf.
I'm just saying. Keep your eyes out for those on the
Look,
internet.
some people no plays off.
You know what? And I get it. And some people don't go to the lengths that I do to embarrass Eagles players, but this is what I'm here for.
We also get with Dallas sucking it up and the Eagles sucking it up. Do you think San Francisco takes the 1 seed? I think they have the 1 seed right now.
I think that's been locked up for weeks.
Yeah,
Have y'all
and-
seen San Francisco play football lately?
they're playing really, really well. The question is, how many awards do they win when they do it, and and do they just walk through the Super Bowl as
Put
well?
it this way, when people talk about MVP, they mention 3 players on that team.
Yes, that is a problem. And then they're like, by the way, they have 2 other really good players.
Oh, yeah, and a defense.
Yeah,
Oh,
and a defense. Random texter number 69. So Penix not winning the Heisman Doesn't worry anyone a little as far as extra motivation for Washington. BY didn't win it, took the game over in the championship. Colt didn't win it, but Alabama wasn't taking any chance and knocked him out of the game. I don't think they were intentionally knocking him out, but
That's a good point, though. I hadn't considered
not
that one
suggesting we
yet.
go all Saints bounty gate, but it seems like Alabama kind of worked better for them. Never try and take out another player.
No.
Try and make him regret, try and hurt it, but you don't play cheap and you don't try and hurt players. You try and make them feel pain.
And you don't wish that because that kind of thing comes full circle.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't want that.
So I get it, but look, the reality is Michael Penix not winning it, he wasn't the front runner. He never was the front runner. Bo Nix was the front runner, and then he beat Bo Nix, and they still didn't want to give it to him.
And then Jaden Daniels took off in a landslide on the odds.
Basically, Mike Penix Jr. was never going to win the Heisman because enough writers do not think that he's as good as he says he is.
Well, the secret catalyst to that offense is Dylan Johnson, like we were talking about
Dylan
yesterday.
Johnson
Their
is a secret
biggest,
and then they also have 3 pro-ready wide receivers, at least 2 pro-ready wide receivers,
right.
which takes away as well.
I'm not ready to say 3. I will say 2, though.
But it's like CJ Stroud when he played. CJ Stroud was vastly undervalued because he had Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jackson Smith and Jigba.
No
and everybody
doubt.
said, well, anybody could throw the ball for that, and you're taking away from him a little bit. So I think there is some to it, but I don't know if it's enough. He's definitely not a Vince Young.
No, I just
Because Vince Young could win the game by himself. Michael Penix Jr. can't win the game by himself.
their biggest point totals, Dylan Johnson had 20-plus carries.
Yeah. So I get it. I do like the point, though. I do like the point. It is a solid point. We talk about all of our locker room material, bulletin board material.
Everything you
I do
need.
like that point because we have not mentioned that. But I'm not as worried about it, and I definitely don't want to hurt anybody. I don't think we need to.
I don't
really
want to wish
think we
for
need
it.
to.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, that comes full circle.
Yeah,
Get that out of
exactly.
your head. Yeah.
We also get that says F that diva, forget about it. I think
Like
he's not a fan there.
Like it.
I think you mean Jersey Mike's with Danny DeVito. I probably did. I may have misspoke.
What'd you say?
I have no idea.
Did you
Could
say-
not say. Look, I honestly don't remember what the first hour of the show was about. I don't know if you know this about me. My memory's not great.
This was from 5:30.
I know. I have no idea what I said. Not a clue, man. Once it comes out, it's in the ether.
Fair.
I have no idea.
Done that a bunch of times.
Luckily,
No,
we're not
okay.
recording this, right?
No. No.
Last time Aaron Rodgers talked about the Longhorns, Cal got smacked by Texas Tech. The Longhorns did just fine that year. Guess who talked smack about the Longhorns and beat Cal in a bowl game?
Who was it?
I'm getting Aaron Rodgers. I know was very upset. Aaron Rodgers did not like Texas because Mac Brown was actively campaigning
But
against
Aaron
him in
didn't
the
beat
Heisman.
Cal in a bowl game.
No, Aaron played for Cal.
Right.
I don't know.
Huh.
I mean,
That's a good
I
trivia
have,
question.
I have to look back on that, but again, I just have my memory, so I cannot pull that out of my head right now.
I don't got it.
Freak Nice says, I love the show, Patrick. Thank you. I think Jay Wood is going to be the guy Washington leaves open, and he is due for a big day. I'm glad we got a Jay Wood in there. I knew someone had to go give me my Jay Wood fix.
Hey, towards the end of the year, Sark was using him as a deep threat when he needed it.
He starts using it more and more because it's like, well, they're just going to keep leaving him open.
They just run him underneath all game, and then like 3 or 4 plays, he
Yeah.
sends him on a seam route, screaming up through the middle of the defense.
Sark will do everything he can to make him get off.
Huh?
I don't know. It's a Nate thing, so I don't know if that's a Nate joke. I'm not sure. Again, I don't remember what I said 5 minutes ago. So I'm not
certainly
sure.
it wasn't that, right?
It wasn't that.
Goodness.
Look, he wants to get off the line of scrimmage.
Is this bowl game also going to be a pay-per-view?
No,
Good.
Nate wants to get it. Look, I said that, you want JT to Sanders to get off the line of scrimmage quick against a linebacker.
Oh, get off the line of
yeah,
scrimmage.
get off the line of scrimmage. Nate's
okay.
not saying anything dirty. Nate would never say anything dirty on the text line. He's a clean, good kid, that Nate.
He's a sweet boy. He's a sweet boy.
X Factor and RN's linebackers to limit Michael Penix Jr.'s effectiveness as a passer. I'm with you, Chan. I think the linebackers do need to have a big game. Cleaning up that middle, too, giving your DBs a little bit of help when they play a little bit of soft coverage and step back a little bit to have a linebacker in those places to not allow it just be a big open field where Michael Penix Jr. can just eat all day long.
Got to talk to each other, too. Can't have the Oklahoma situation where they're not
Communication is big.
speaking to each other.
And that's one of the things. Catalan was a really good communicator. He will not
Right.
be there because
That
he went in the
scares
transfer
you.
portal. So you other guys are going to have to step up. But that's we talked about Michael Taft. He's a good communicator. It's why he's on the field.
100%.
And so if you've got a month, and I'm sure it's going to be drilled down in practice, that if you stand outside a DKR and you may or stand outside the bubble, you may hear some yelling because they're going to be like, yell this as loud as you can.
Over communicate every coverage. Every
Keep
single
it going.
one. Yeah.
Does Texas have a better pair of wideouts or Washington? I think most people would tell you it's Washington for overall.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy may be the top guy. in some people's pools, but I think if you were to ask, they would say the wide receiver room for Washington right now.
I think you're right. I think it goes X, the 2 at Washington, and then AD.
But this is also one of those things of, conference differences where they're playing in the Pac-12, which, maybe they make a little bit more room, a little less physical.
Those defenses.
So I'm just saying, if you ask most people across the country, I figured they would say Washington. But that doesn't mean anything against Texas either. It's the fact that you have to ask a question against probably one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country should tell you that Texas is not far off. Nate said, just using your wording. Again, if I remember what I said, I'll have to go back and listen.
Oh, man, Nate
trying to come after me.
Look at that.
I'm sure I said get off the line of scrimmage.
He specifically stopped it at get off, though.
I'm aware, but he was probably typing, and then he wanted to text and drive.
Oh,
Nate's a good kid.
You know what? The voice to text cut off.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Because he would never text and drive. It's voice to text.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Penix won't be playing the Heisman winner, so the motivation is the same. I agree with that too. He is not playing against a guy who beat him. It is. No one in a big bowl game because LSU lost 3 games this year. But it is still something that you want to prove. He still does want to prove that he's gonna. I think he has something to prove that he wants to be better than Quinn Ewers in the draft. I think he wants to show that he's seen mock drafts where he's behind Quinn Ewers in them.
But that's a good point. It is not the direct comparison like it was for Gundy and Sark and like it is for DeBoer and Sark now.
Chan says, because Jay Wood has been focused this past few weeks, Washington will defend him. But they can't defend him all, Chan. That's the reality.
They can't afford to give resources to Jay Witt.
Because if you put double coverage on Jay Witt and double coverage on Adonai Mitchell and double coverage on JT Sanders and double coverage on Xavier
and
Worthing,
rush one person.
And you have one person on the line.
No one to cover the running back.
I feel like C.J. Baxter's going to have a good game.
I feel like he's going to have a day.
So that's what we talked about from day one of this Texas team is having the overwealth of resources and targets and weapons that you have to pick and choose. And that's where Jay Witt comes in. He is a weapon that's so far down on so many people's lists.
Yet he would still be one of the top 3 in the nation, maybe?
Yeah, he'd still go up there. Everybody would wish he didn't have him on the team.
Yeah.
It's more the question of, does Sark use him to scheme up other people open? Or does he look at it and say, well, they're just leaving him, so let's go with him. And I think Sark's done that better this year, especially at the end of the year. All right, let's take a break real quick. We're going to come back, wrap up the show here on the Sports Complex on the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. All right, back to wrap things up here on the Sports Complex. We will wait, let me get my sounders right. If we can hit that and we hit that and we're good to go. Okay. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Just right into it.
Just right into it. I'm not great with time
What are you
or
talking
memory,
about? We're always right on it.
but I'm dead on my sports takes, everybody.
We are crisp.
We appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us this week. We're here all week, getting you ready for the Sugar Bowl, getting you ready for some more NFL action, keeping it going all week long as we get closer and closer to the holidays and to Christmas. And I hope everybody's going to have a good, safe holiday season. But we'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock to talk more about it. And of course, we'd love to have you guys with us on the text line, keeping the party going with us. We always love to have you on us. Until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. for more of the Sports Complex.